3340's Haley Westbrook joins us now live from the housing complex. And Haley, it's a wonder nobody was injured.
You know, it certainly is. These vehicles in front of me were in the line of fire overnight. Take a look at this one. Its back windshield is shattered. There's a car seat in one of these vehicles. Now that car seat has a bullet hole in it. And you know, some of these residents who live here believe the overnight shooting was planned.
We heard at least like 50 gunshots.
We didn't know where it came from.
I hear.
Scared if a bullet gonna come through my window and hit one of my kids.
Bullet holes, broken glass, shell casings scattered across, leaving these residents with more questions than answers.
Kept hearing through the grapevine that it was going to be a shootout. We didn't know what time it was going to be or whatever. We just know to get the kids and, you know, get them in, or we didn't know what was going to happen.
No word whether anyone called police, but what happened soon after left quite a scene.
My back windshield is completely gone, and my front shield, it got a gunshot hole in there, but it still need to be replaced. I don't believe that the people who did the shooting was probably even from around here. They probably was from the other side, but they just want to resolve it over here.
We're told the shooters left here and went to the fire station a few blocks away. And back at the housing complex, residents wonder what's next.
Because they could have been someone's child they was shooting, and they could have shot at someone's apartment. They could have shot my baby.
Next time you just never know. But, you know, I'm not gonna lose no sleep behind it, because I feel like God got me. If he protect me once, he'll protect me twice.
Now, the investigation is ongoing, but I do want to point out there is a police substation inside of this housing complex, but I'm told there was no police officer inside overnight. In Fairfield, Haley Westbrook, ABC 3340.
Haley, thank you.
We're a regional trauma center serving most all of West Alabama and encompass a number of counties in our coverage area.
We serve 13 counties, all the way down to the Dallas-Wilcox area, all the way up through basically towards Winfield. So Fayette, Pickens, Greene and Hale County, and Sumter County, all those counties around West Alabama bordering Mississippi we serve.
We came in early because a tornado had hit the coaling area, and we had patients from that tornado.
We had a family here that their home was completely destroyed. Luckily, they were okay. We took care of them, and we probably had 10 to 15 maybe from that storm.
We set up our incident command center that morning, and what that really involves is some key players at the hospital just being a little extra aware about what's going on.
The people in charge were monitoring the weather, and our nurse manager, Terry Snyder, she was monitoring the weather.
We're watching live on TV, and we see the storm, and we're just like any other day. We're watching this tornado and thinking, you know, wow, they've caught another one on the tower cam system.
It was about a little after 5. Terry Snyder stuck her head in the door and said, y'all, this is a tornado, it's a bad one, and it's headed right toward us.
You hear them call out DCH and Bryant-Denny Stadium, and it dawns on you that storm is headed right for us.
Several young people in the crowd started crying. Several people started praying.
And it was just this loud noise, and your ears started popping. And so I looked out the window, and this huge black cloud of debris just passed by the window.
The hallway turned into basically a wind tunnel from where it pulled the doors open. A couple of pictures fell off the wall.
It was pitch black. You could see it. You could see the funnel, I guess you would say, but it was just, you could see it swirling. It was loud. You could feel it in your ears, and you could see the debris that was in it.
I immediately knew that when the tornado touched down, that we were going to have our hands full.
The fire alarms are going off, so it's a little chaotic in the hallways now. We had all the patients and family members in the center hallways of the hospital.
And we had no idea what we were about to face.
EMS started telling us, it's bad everywhere. It looks like a war zone. It's just outside the back door.
Probably maybe 15 or 20 minutes when the patients started coming in.
And the first call that we get is 3 children in full cardiac arrest.
You know, we all started kind of getting in gear. Okay, who can we move? What areas are we going to put patients in? And really started trying to get a feel for what was going to happen.
When the fire rescue unit pulled up and we opened the back doors, and there are 3 infants laying there, and you've got a paramedic in the back that is doing everything he can for those 3 kids.
All on the same stretcher, all of whom were pronounced dead as soon as they got here.
You know, it started out 1 patient, 2 patients, 20 patients, 30, 40 at a time. There were so many coming.
We had people just coming in every entrance of the hospital that they could to seek help.
Any door that you could come into the hospital, people were coming in the hospital. There were dogs in the hospital. There were, you know, just people trying to find some solace.
Phone lines were down. Cell service was very sparse.
My best use of my services and my training was going to be to direct disaster triage. Somebody has to say, okay, this patient's critical and we can do something about them. This patient's critical and we really can't do much for them, and we need to divert resources elsewhere. Or this patient is walking, they need to go over here.
They were being brought in by complete strangers, people that just found them on the side of the road. They were being brought in on doors, on headboards of bed. I mean, I took many babies just from strangers' arms, not even knowing whose babies these were, or where their family was, where their parents were.
I remember seeing this young gentleman they brought in on a backboard. I mean, on a headboard of a bed. They got him out of the truck, out of the back of a truck, and brought him in. The image of him was, I guess I would say, was one of the first horrible images of that day.
As basically the ambulances and private autos and police cars that were all bringing injured patients would pull up into our ambulance entrance, we would have physicians and nurses in the ambulance entrance unloading those patients either onto stretchers, into wheelchairs, or if they were able to walk, they would go to different parts of the ER and putting them in the correct places, starting patient care immediately.
We saw just a multitude, pretty much anything you could think of, severed limbs, amputations, impaled objects, head injuries, closed chest injuries, lacerations, just horrible lacerations, things that you just wouldn't think you would ever see.
A doctor and 2 to 3 nurses would be in a room. We would stabilize that patient. One of us would stay with them, then that group would go to the next room.
You've got patients that are wounded themselves, but they're wanting to help the one laying beside them.
Somebody brought us some bottles of water, those of us who were out there. And I looked down and he's wearing a patient ID band. He was a patient.
So the heart of these people that have been through this tragedy was just phenomenal.
I mean, there are just people everywhere where you really can't turn around, you can't move, can't do anything. But when you took a minute to look, every person had a nurse or a physician or somebody at their bedside doing something for them.
The hardest part was we've seen this type of trauma before, but not in this magnitude.
I was able to keep the composure because when I was dealing with somebody, I knew that I had been placed there for a purpose, that it wasn't by chance, that it was my responsibility at that point to take care of that person.
You can't get emotional, because if you let yourself become emotional in the moment, then you're not doing your patient any good.
We do fall apart emotionally, but it's after the fact.
I probably got some of the most intense hugs that I will ever receive in my life, or hand grasp that didn't want to let go. And I was just thinking we were probably some of the last faces some of these people saw before they died.
The image that gets me when I close my eyes are those 3 children.
It's hard enough to deal with one child that comes in and is dead, much less have 3 on a backboard the first thing you see.
It was just a horrific day that I hope that we never have to experience again.
That I was lucky enough to work with some really, really great people who took really, really great care of a lot of sick people.
Well, we were all put here that day for a purpose, and I believe that that day that we were all blessed to be here, that we weren't trying to scramble somewhere to protect ourselves or our family, but that day defined this hospital. I think it defined the employees that worked not only in the emergency room but all over DCH, but I think more than that, that day defined Tuscaloosa.
Tonight we stand united to honor our soldiers for their dedication and to thank them for their willingness to serve this nation with bravery and integrity. We need to remember those who have been laid to rest and laid down their lives to serve our great country. It's certainly our responsibility to take some time and to honor those who've made such a sacrifice. We don't need to wait for a holiday to realize how blessed we are as a nation and how grateful we are to those who have given their lives for our freedom. America would not be free if it were not for our soldiers, our sailors, our Marines, and all of those who have served in the military. America would not be free if it were not for those who have laid down their lives for us. We must not forget that at this very moment over in Afghanistan and the Middle East and elsewhere, there are members of the military who are risking their lives to protect our freedoms here. And while there are many challenges to being governor, the most difficult thing that I do is to attend and visit with families who have lost a loved one. It's so difficult to stand with that family before an open casket and to see that young man or a young woman. And I cannot think of any greater dedication to one's country than to be willing to lay down a person's life for the freedoms that are represented by this great country of America. And tonight I want to challenge you to continue your support each and every day. When soldiers commit to serve their country, they commit with all their hearts. And we should be dedicated to providing them with the support, the encouragement, and the prayers and the respect that they deserve.